Hi, VNBG is back already. Today, we will tell you about instructions on the overseas study consulting agency set up in Vietnam. Let's check it out. As a nation that values education, Vietnam has seen a dramatic increase in educational services such as studying abroad, teaching, training, and coaching programs. In this country with a population of nearly 100 million people, Vietnamese parents believe that it is always better for their kids to study in an advanced and developed country than in Vietnam. Therefore, from a young age, parents often plan to send their children to study abroad when conditions permit. This mindset has been the driving force behind the demand for study abroad counseling and consulting services in Vietnam for the past few decades, and it will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. In fact, Vietnamese parents place a high priority on their children's education, spending 47% of total household spending on their children's education alone. Moreover, according to statistics, 90% of Vietnamese students studying abroad are self-sufficient by their parents or family. In addition, the number of Vietnamese students studying abroad increased significantly by 46%, from 130,000 to 190,000 between 2013 and 2021. Is it a very potential market? So, how to open an overseas study consulting business in Vietnam? Let's VNBG tell you right now. To open an overseas study consulting business, you would first need to have a business entity, which means a company with a proper business code registered as educational service in your license as the first step. This is subject to the Department of Planning and Investment approval. The second step is to require a sublicense called a Certificate of Registration for Overseas Study Counseling Service, which is the subject of the Department of Education before you put your business into actual operation. Seems a bit general, doesn't it? Don't worry, we will go to the details now. Step 1. How to establish a foreign-owned business entity in Vietnam for educational service. To set up a foreign-owned company, either 1% or 100% owned by a foreigner, in overseas study consulting business, you need to obtain two licenses called IRC, known as Investment Registration Certificate, and the BRC, as known as Business Registration Certificate. And the IRC of the company must contain the codes for the educational service business to start. The business codes in this case are 8560 and 8559. The good thing is, educational business is under Vietnam WTO's commitment. Therefore, it is open to 100% foreign ownership. The authority that will issue the IRC and BRC is DPI. To start the process, you would need to prepare the followings. First, a business address. Here the company will be located. The old regulation requires you to have a physical office with specific rooms and size. However, with the new rules, you do not need to have an actual office for both incorporating and applying sublicense in the next step. Hence, you can utilize the virtual office for setting up the business, saving you rental fee and resources. Second, a resident director. This individual may be Vietnamese or non-Vietnamese, who resides in the country minimum of 183 days a year. Third, the capital of the company. It is not specified by the law, but to obtain the overseas study consulting sublicense in the future, the capital is suggested not to be too low. $100,000 is considered a feasible start in most cases. In fact, the company needs to explain the financial capability that matches with its business plan. As the sublicense requirements in the later phase are pretty demanding, it is believed that only a significant amount of capital will be sufficient to start the business properly. In theory, the timeline to establish the entity takes 3 to 4 weeks from the submission date. However, the government can ask for additional documents or further clarification of the dossier, which might result in a few more weeks' delay. If the additional requirement is something difficult to fulfill, the timeline can be extended to even months or more. After the company is successfully registered, it is time to start obtaining the sublicense before the overseas study consulting service can be actually started. Now to go to the step 2, apply for the Certificate of Overseas Study Consulting Service in Vietnam. To apply for this certificate, the company must prepare itself to meet the requirements of the Department of Education as of following. First, you must meet the requirements regarding your human resources. Your consultant must hold at least a bachelor's degree. Your consultants must have a command of a foreign language at the 4th level or higher as specified by the 6th level foreign language competency of Vietnam. Your consultants must hold a certificate of Overseas Study Consulting Training course mandated by the Ministry of Education and Training of Vietnam. Second, you must also meet the requirements regarding the head of business. Must hold a bachelor's degree or higher. Last but not least, you must prove your financial capability. Again, you will need to show the Department of Education that you are financially prepared for the business. Similar way that you have showed the DPI in the Step 1. Education-related businesses require sublicenses, which must be obtained under stringent restrictions. It can be difficult for small capital investors or those hesitant to commit substantial fund in a new industry to launch this kind of firm. If you are in this situation, VNBG always has solutions for you. Let our consultants know your needs, and we can guide you along the way and show you the best option that fits your budget and situation. Contact us today if you want to open an overseas study consulting business in Vietnam. Or find more details in the description box below and can click subscribe for future updates from Vietnam Business Gateway.